What if the thing that will make your content easier and your business more sustainable is simply being more yourself? If I know you, I know that you're the type of person who feels really confident in real conversations with real humans. You know in your heart of hearts that your work is so valuable, but you probably second guess yourself every time you sit down to create content. And this may look like editing or re editing your voice to sound more professional, constantly trying different strategies that don't feel quite comfortable, or creating content but not loving it because it sounds and feels a little forced. Well, that's going to change today because in this episode, we'll explore why being more you strengthens your content, why it's also good for your business growth, how alignment creates consistency and trust, and how a simple planning approach can help you create content that reflects who you are instead of feeling like something you have to perform. Hello, hello, beautiful people, and welcome to this week's episode of the Content with Heart podcast. How are you? I feel like I need to take a bit of a deep breath before this week's episode, as there's so many moving parts in my life at the moment, but I know you know how that feels. Now, I talk a lot about being more you in your content, and it's such a pivotal part of my message. So this week, I thought that we'd really explore this idea a little bit further. Being more you with your content isn't necessarily sharing every single piece of your life. You don't have to share what you had for breakfast, unless, of course, that is relevant to what you teach or what your audience's challenges are. You don't have to talk about the ugly. You don't have to talk about the challenges, especially whilst you're still in the thick of it. Certainly after the fact, when you can attach some meaning to it for your audience, then definitely you can talk about it, but you don't have to. And being more you isn't about being an open book, sharing absolutely everything about everything. Being more you in your content is, however, really tuning in and using your intuition when it comes to what you need to create content. It's about sharing what you believe in and your values. And I cannot stress this enough, how important it is for your audience to feel and to know exactly what you stand for. And being more you with your content is really understanding your strengths and working with them to your advantage. Now, the reason that this is so important is that when your content doesn't feel like you or doesn't reflect who you are, then it takes so much longer to create. You really overthink everything. Sometimes you might procrastinate because it just feels so hard. You might be inconsistent because it is so difficult to sit down and create content. And your message basically becomes diluted. It doesn't feel as strong as what it could be. And from a business perspective, that can have all sorts of interesting impacts on your business. It can slow your audience growth. It creates less resonance because people don't know what the hell you're on about or what you actually stand for. It decreases the trust they have in you. And all of that results in a longer sales cycle. So it takes a longer time for them to get through that client journey of connect, subscribe, nurture, and convert than it would if you were just simply being more you. Because when you are more you and your content reflects that, the opposite happens. It becomes so much easier to create. You love creating it. You might even find it enjoyable. Your messaging becomes really sharp, and your audiences really get who you are and what you stand for, and therefore they will connect faster with you as a result of that. Your business will start attracting people who genuinely resonate with you and want to come on that journey with you. Because I say that you don't want to attract all the people, you just want to attract the right people. So aligning your content with who you are is basically a strategic advantage, because in this online crowded space, it's clarity and authenticity, which really highlights your uniqueness. And that's why people buy from you. So, based on my own personal experience and that of my clients, I want to share with you now a few ways that you can begin to drop that facade that you've likely inadvertently created and open up to maybe being more you with your content. So, the first thing is to drop the idea that your content is a performance. So, I had a very professional, in inverted commas, me for so many years when I started in online business. I really tried to portray this confident, in control woman and sound really polished and someone who I thought people wanted to work with. But the problem is that when you change into this marketing voice and it's not truly you in your content, your message is filtered and really comes across as inauthentic to your audience. And when you put on this marketing voice, your content begins to sound like everyone else. And that means that your positioning weakens, your message just blends in with everyone else's, and you end up competing on tactics instead of your perspective or your thought leadership, which is really important. And when your perspective is really crystal clear, then your message is going to become really recognizable and your audience remembers you, your beautiful you, because you have a unique outlook on the world. So if you feel like you may be diluting your message and not being truly yourself, I'd love for you to try this little exercise next time you create content. And that is to actually start by not writing something down, but recording a voice note explaining the idea, and then transcribe and write from that. Do minimal edits and publish or schedule your content straight away. And this simple shift often brings your real voice back into your content. Now, the second idea is to protect and amplify your voice. Now, your voice is one of your most valuable business assets, especially in this day and age of AI. Everyone is beginning to sound same. And personally, I don't know about you, but I can spot an AI written piece of content from an absolute mile away, just from its format and the types of language that you use. So if you rely on AI too heavily without actually guiding it, your content can really start to sound generic. And I'm not saying don't use AI, because heck, I do. And I absolutely love it. I couldn't live without it at the moment. But rather than just using it for the sake of using it, learn how to use it in conjunction with your natural voice. Now, if you don't adjust and adapt and guide your AI voice, then eventually your perspective, your uniqueness disappears. Your personality and your thought leadership really softens. And like I've already said, your content begins to sound like everyone else's. And your audience might not consciously notice it, but I guarantee they can definitely feel it, because people don't connect with those perfectly structured sentences or perfectly recorded podcasts. They connect with human expression, and your voice carries things that AI cannot replicate on its own. So things like, your lived experiences, your opinions, your beliefs, your values, the way that you explain ideas, and the stories behind what you do and why you do it. All of this is what creates the connection and trust, not the perfectly polished piece of content that AI can give you. AI can really support your thinking, but your thinking must lead the process. So I've just got a couple of quick tips here to help you use AI without actually losing your voice. And that is to start with your ideas first. Use AI as then an editor, not the author of your content. So instead of asking it to write a social media post for you, ask it to help you organize your ideas or improve your clarity or refine your structure. And that will really keep your thinking intact. And then train AI to understand your voice. And AI becomes more useful when it has examples of your writing or your recordings. And you can really help it learn your voice by giving it your previous content and describing your tone and style in your own words, and then asking it to mirror the structure of your existing work. Now, something really interesting has happened recently with ChatGPT. I was using it and I thought we were getting on like a house on fire. It was really tuning into my thought leadership. It was really tuning into my voice, and it was giving me some really great content that I could work with. Recently, that changed, and I thought, this is really, really interesting. It's gone back to feeling really stiff and forced and not me. and all of the AI isms, as I call them, all of those things that AI comes up with that are not necessarily words that I use every day. So I asked her, what's going on? Why the change? And it was really interesting that it explained to me that the previous version of ChatGPT was more intuitive, was more likely to take paths that were more human and reflected a human voice, whereas the new version was less of a risk taker. Very interesting. So, as a result of that, we worked together to come up with my own voice style guide. It was a really interesting exercise. And do you know what? I'm kind of glad I asked the question of ChatGPT because we ended up with something really great. So, I guess the moral to that story is to really train AI to understand your voice and don't just take what it's saying and copy and paste it into a social media post or a blog, whatever piece of content you're actually writing. Over time, AI is going to become better at supporting your voice instead of actually replacing it because, ultimately, AI should make your content easier to create, but not less human. Now, the third idea to help you be more you is to focus on comfort. This might be a bit of a controversial idea, but I feel as though that the whole world at the moment is beating itself up on its lack of consistency in some part of their life, whether it's diet, whether it's exercise, self-care, content, I don't know, the list goes on and on and on. But funnily enough, consistency rarely comes from discipline alone, but it comes from ease and comfort. And when you're more you with your content, you are more comfortable with who you are and what you have to say. So you are likely to create content more often and it's going to feel easier. I know that when content feels forced or hard to do, you usually procrastinate, you avoid it altogether, or you delay actually putting it out into the world. But when content feels natural, you will repeat the process, you show up more easily, and it gradually builds momentum. Then that consistency really results in three main things that I think that your content does for you. And that is it will strengthen your visibility, it will strengthen the trust that you have with your audience, and it strengthens your authority. And when your content fits your strengths, the consistency just becomes sustainable, just becomes natural. If you want to know what your strengths are, go and check out my quick quiz. I'll pop the link in the show notes called the Content Creator Archetype. It will give you what your strengths are when it comes to creating content and give you a few tips to take advantage of them. Okay, now the fourth idea about being more you with your content is that authenticity attracts better clients. It attracts your ideal clients, your dream clients, your perfect clients. Being more you will naturally filter your audience. So when you clearly communicate in your content your values, what your thinking is, your perspective, your beliefs, your thought leadership, then the right people feel drawn to you. And do you know what? The wrong people will move on. And that is just fine by me because we don't want to waste our energy on the wrong people. And we don't want the wrong people to waste their energy on us either. So when we are drawing the right people into our world, it's going to naturally create better quality leads for us. It's going to create sales conversations that feel easier. It's going to create stronger client relationships. I know you know what it's like when you work with that perfect ideal client. It just clicks. It's just amazing. And as a result of all of that as well, you'll probably get more referrals. So understanding your beliefs and how to connect with your audience is something that I actually teach inside the Content Effect. So go and check out the show notes for a link to that as well. Okay, now my last point around bringing more you into your content involves planning the content around who you are. So this alignment that we've been talking about, alignment between who you are and the content that you actually produce and create, becomes the most powerful when it's supported by intentional planning. But this is where so many people get stuck, especially my free spirit content creators who love to create content in the moment when they're in the flow, when they're feeling great and they feel they have that intuition that they have something to share with the world. They have these ideas, and they want to show up more consistently, but without a clear plan, your content is really going to become just reactive. Now, when you plan, you are helping to funnel and choose those ideas that not only align with your voice, but align with what you want to achieve right now in your business. You end up creating content ahead of time, possibly, and it reduces the pressure of deciding what to create because you simply already have it written in front of you. So, having a plan with your content really allows you to build content and create content that supports your business goals, not just your visibility. So, maybe a helpful starting point around this is think about what your key business priorities are over the time period that you're looking at. What are you actually promoting and what you are trying to achieve? Look at the problems your audience is currently navigating, and then think about the perspectives that make your work unique and tie into those challenges or those problems that your audience is having. And this is where alignment and strategy start working together. And if you'd like to bring these two things together with your content, then come and join me for my upcoming 90-day content planning session inside the Content Effect. I'm opening the training to non-members this month, so click on the link in the show notes to save your spot. And now we've come to my favorite part of every single episode, and that is the opportunity to really embody what you've heard about in today's episode. So I would love for you to come back to these questions later or simply reflect on them right now. The first question is, when do I feel most natural while creating content? Number 2 is, what perspectives or beliefs do I hold that I could share more clearly? And number 3 is, what might shift in my business if my content felt more aligned? Interesting questions for you to ponder. Now, being more you is not a tactic. It's a necessary business advantage. And when your content reflects who you are, your message becomes so much clearer, your audience connects faster, your consistency becomes easier as well. And then when you combine that alignment with intentional planning, content becomes something that really supports your business instead of something that constantly sits on your to-do list and never gets done. So don't forget to come and join me for the next 90-day content planning session, which I'm opening up to non-members this month. You'll be able to map out your content to make consistency so much easier, and join before the 17th of March 2026. And you'll also get free access to a year's worth of content ideas workshop. Now remember, stop trying to be like someone else or someone else you think you should be. Embrace the beautiful, unique you. With heart, always.